You have been told change takes time. That is a lie. Change is not in time, it is in truth. The moment you align your word with God's law, the entire universe rushes to rearrange itself for you. I will show you the switch that turns night into day. In this message, I will reveal the exact law that changes outer conditions the moment you change your word. You will learn why fear holds your world in chains, and how one declaration of truth sets you free. If you have been stuck in lack, sickness, or delay, you will leave with the knowledge that your word, spoken in faith, commands supply, healing, and victory. This is not theory, it is spiritual law, proven again and again. You have tried effort, you have tried worry, you have tried waiting on time, yet the door has stayed shut. You have asked, why do my prayers seem unanswered? Why does change take so long? The answer is simple. You have been living by appearances, instead of truth. You have fought with shadows instead of speaking light. But tonight, you will see that the instant you align with divine law, the burden lifts and your reality obeys. In the next 2 hours, I will walk you through the secret of immediate change. I will show you stories of people who shifted their whole lives with a single word. I will open the scriptures so you see that Jesus himself promised instant demonstration, not long delay. You will learn the laws that govern your health, your money, your relationships, and you will practice the declarations that smash fear and establish truth. Along the way, I will answer the doubts you carry, expose the lies that bind you, and reveal the divine shortcuts most people overlook. Stay with me, for before this message ends, you will not only know the secret, you will feel it working in your own life. Most people think life is a battle, but let me tell you something, startling it isn't. Life is a game, and like every game, there are rules. When you ignore the rules, you stumble and lose. But when you play by divine law, the moves are swift, the victories are sure, and the change comes instantly. Here's the part most people completely miss. It's not effort, it's not time, it's not willpower that changes your reality. It is alignment with law, spoken through your word. One declaration can do more than years of struggle. One sentence of truth can swing open doors that force could never budge. Why is this so? Because the game of life runs on sowing and reaping. Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. That means every word you speak, every image you hold, every declaration you let slip from your tongue goes out like a seed and grows. And those seeds don't wait for years, they sprout immediately in the invisible, and soon you meet them in the visible. Let me paint you a picture. A woman once told me her life had collapsed into poverty. She had once had beauty, a fine home, and wealth, but now she was living in bare rooms, stripped of comfort. When we traced the cause, she remembered saying over and over again, "I'm sick and tired of things. I wish I lived in a trunk." She said it lightly, she said it half in jest, but the subconscious doesn't joke, it records, it obeys. And soon she had spoken herself into the trunk. Do you see the stakes here? Every idle word matters. Every casual phrase holds power. That's why so many live under a shadow, because they've played the game with words of fear, words of limitation, words of defeat. They've sown "I can't" and reaped delay. They've sown "nothing ever works out" and harvested failure. But here's the divine secret. The very moment you choose to sow differently, the moment you begin to speak truth instead of fear, change begins. Reality bends at once. So how do you step into this? First, recognize that the world of appearances is only the scoreboard, it's not the game itself. The real game is invisible, spiritual, and it is moved by your words. Second, train your tongue to only release what you wish to reap. Never joke yourself into lack. Never declare sickness. Never affirm limitation. Say instead, "I now speak the word of abundance, the word of health, the word of joy," and by divine law, it manifests now. Ask yourself, how many times have you spoken carelessly and then found yourself living inside your own words? How many times have you said, "This always happens to me," and then it did? Friend, you have been playing the game without knowing the rules. But tonight, you are learning. And here is the great encouragement. The law works both ways. The same power that built the prison can swing wide the gates. The same tongue that cursed can bless. The same imagination that feared can now create beauty. You don't need years of undoing. You don't need to retrace every step. You only need to speak the word of truth now, and the new game begins. So let us declare together. I now smash every false record in my subconscious mind. I erase the pictures of defeat. I establish new records of health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression. By my spoken word, I win the game of life. This is the first key to instant change. Not effort, not time, not struggle, but the spoken word aligned with divine law. And once you grasp this, you'll never play the old losing game again. Transition. And yet, there is another hidden rule most have overlooked. Words do more than reflect life, they recreate it. In the next part, I'll show you how the word spoken in faith becomes a wand in your hand, reshaping your world in an instant. Here's something most people completely miss, and yet it is the very heart of the mystery. Your word is not only a tool to describe life, it is the power that recreates it. The word you speak is the wand you hold, and every sentence you utter, whether whispered in jest, muttered in complaint, or shouted in faith, sets invisible forces in motion that carve out your reality. Jesus Christ declared, "By thy words thou shalt be justified, and by thy words thou shalt be condemned." And again, death and life are in the power of the tongue. Most people repeat these verses and let them slip past without pause, but I tell you, they are not poetry, they are law. Your word is law. Your word is the decree that heaven and earth obey, and nothing is withheld when the tongue declares it with conviction. Think of it this way. The world you live in today is nothing more than a record of the words you have spoken yesterday. If you live in lack, it is because you have spoken lack. If you live in sorrow, it is because you have spoken sorrow. If you live in sickness, it is because you have spoken sickness. And yet, if you will but change the record, if you will but smash the old grooves of complaint and despair, and if you will dare to speak the truth of abundance, joy, and health, then your whole outer world must change. For the spoken word is the creative word, and it is the word of power. There is no delay, there is no distance, there is no obstacle when the tongue of man aligns with the law of God. Let me give you a story that proves this beyond dispute. A woman once came to me with nothing but $2 in her purse. She was frightened, she was discouraged, she was trembling with the weight of lack. I said to her, "Let us bless the $2, for it is not emptiness but seed. Let us declare that this is not a small purse, but the magic purse of spirit, and it can never be depleted. As money goes out, money returns at once. As you give, you receive. As you spend, it is replenished." I see this purse crammed and jammed with bills and checks and gold and silver, overflowing with abundance. The woman listened, and I could see her eyes brighten. She said, "I feel my bag heavy with money." And in that moment, her word joined mine, and faith was established. Shortly after, she was given $6,000. Do you see how the spoken word turned $2 into $6,000? It was not time, it was not effort, it was not chance. It was the word spoken with faith. Now someone will say, "But how can mere words change things? Are not words just sounds and syllables that fade into the air?" No, my friend, words are more than air. Words are vibration. Words are living forces. Words are seeds that contain the tree. Words are the blueprint upon which spirit builds. When you speak, you are not wasting breath. You are sending forth commands. Every cell of your body listens. Every circumstance of your life listens. The elements, the people, the opportunities, all of them are servants of your word, waiting for the command. If you speak in fear, they rush to fulfill fear. If you speak in faith, they rush to fulfill faith. The word does not linger, it acts. And because it acts, it recreates your world in the image of what you declare. Let us not forget that careless words are just as powerful as conscious words. Many people joke themselves into poverty. Many complain themselves into sickness. Many criticize themselves into loneliness. The subconscious mind has no sense of humor. It takes every word you speak as a decree, and it obeys without hesitation. That is why you must put a guard upon your lips and a watch upon your tongue. Never repeat failure. Never declare limitation. Never call yourself unlucky. Never say you are sick, tired, poor, or alone. Each time you say it, you sow it, and each time you sow it, you reap it. The harvest may not spring up in the same hour, but it is already planted, and it must appear. If you want to change your harvest, change your seed. If you want to change your tomorrow, change your words today. So how do you use the power of the word to recreate your life? First, you must know what you desire. Not vaguely, not half-heartedly, but clearly. If it is health, then speak health. If it is money, then speak money. If it is love, then speak love. If it is perfect work, then speak perfect work. Second, you must speak it as already accomplished. Do not say, I will be healed someday. Say, I am healed now. Do not say, I hope money will come. Say, large sums of money come to me quickly, easily, and under grace. Do not say, maybe love will find me. Say, I am surrounded by love, I draw to myself my own, by divine right. The word must be present, the word must be alive, the word must be here and now, for spirit works in the eternal present, not in the far-off future. Third, you must speak it with faith, not with doubt. If you speak with doubt, you cancel your own command. If you speak with fear, you plant weeds among your seeds. But if you speak with faith, if you speak with conviction, if you speak with thanksgiving, then the word goes forth as fire, as light, as power, and nothing can hinder its fulfillment. I will give you an affirmation that holds this power. I am a magnet for all that belongs to me by divine right. My purse is filled, my table is spread, my body is whole, my path is clear. I now command the riches of heaven to manifest here and now, under grace, in perfect ways. Speak it, not once, not timidly, but boldly, repeatedly, until it sinks into the subconscious, until it rises into the superconscious, until it resounds through your whole being, and then watch as the outer world bends and shifts to obey your decree. So I ask you, what are you speaking into your life right now? Are you speaking defeat, or are you speaking victory? Are you speaking lack, or are you speaking plenty? Are you speaking sickness, or are you speaking health? Your answer is not in your circumstances, your answer is in your words. And the good news is that you can change your words this very instant. The moment you speak truth, you recreate your life. Transition. And yet, the power of the word carries with it a warning. For the same tongue that blesses can curse, and the same faith that creates good can create evil when inverted. That is why we must understand the great divider between fear and faith, and how one thought can bring disaster, while the other brings instant salvation. Let us step into that truth now. What I'm about to tell you might strike you as strange at first, but if you will sit with it, you will see it is the sharpest truth you will ever hear. Fear and faith are one and the same force. They are both belief, they are both conviction, they are both a mental picture impressed upon the subconscious and carried out with unfailing obedience. The only difference is their direction. Faith is belief in good, and fear is belief in evil. Faith is confidence that the law of God will bring harmony. Fear is confidence that the law of destruction will prevail. Faith is the blueprint of health, wealth, love, and freedom. Fear is the counterfeit blueprint of sickness, lack, loneliness, and bondage. And here is the sobering point. Whichever you hold, whichever you feed, whichever you speak, the law will manifest. Fear is simply faith inverted. The same creative force that could build a palace of blessing has been turned upside down and made to build a prison of suffering. Do not dismiss this lightly, for the evidence is all around you. A man once told me that he lived in constant terror of a rare disease. He read about it, thought about it, imagined himself with it. He pictured the symptoms in his body, he spoke of it often, and although the disease was almost impossible to contract, it came upon him exactly as he feared, and it killed him. Do you see what happened? He had perfect faith not in God, not in life, not in health, but in evil. He rehearsed the picture until the subconscious mind, which does not argue, which does not reason, which does not discriminate, said, "This is the command," and the body obeyed. His imagination sowed the seed, his words watered it, his fear gave it sunlight, and the harvest was death, and yet the same law works for good. I have seen people who held an image of victory and declared health, who rejected fear and substituted faith, and they saw instant demonstrations. That is the law of substitution. You cannot hold two pictures at the same time. If you are imaging fear, you must replace it with the picture of faith. If you are speaking defeat, you must replace it with the word of victory. If you are dwelling on sickness, you must replace it with the vision of health. The law of substitution says that a higher vibration replaces a lower one, and when you substitute truth for error, the error dissolves instantly, as darkness dissolves the moment you switch on the light. Think of fear and faith as two doors standing before you. Fear opens to the world of appearances, where lack and limitation mock you, where delay and defeat cling to you, where sorrow hangs over you like a shadow. Faith opens to the world of truth, where all is finished, complete, and perfect, where every desire of your heart already waits, where health is your inheritance, where abundance flows in rivers, where love surrounds you, and where victory is the only language. You cannot stand with one foot in each door, you must choose. And the choice is made not by your wishes, not by your feelings, not by your theories, but by your words. What are you saying? Are you saying, I'm afraid this will happen? Or are you saying, I know my good is here? Are you saying, I don't see how I'll ever get out of this trouble? Or are you saying, divine supply meets me here and now in perfect ways? Your mouth reveals your master. Now, you may be thinking, but my fear feels stronger than my faith. How can I stop fear from ruling me? The answer is not to wrestle with fear, for wrestling gives it power. The answer is to substitute at once. The instant fear whispers, speak faith. The instant doubt rises, declare truth. The instant the picture of disaster comes, paint the picture of deliverance. It is not about erasing fear, it is about replacing it. Say to yourself, this is only inverted faith. I now turn it upright. I now direct it to good. Here is an affirmation that carries this power. There is no power in fear. I am unmoved, unafraid, undisturbed. I place my faith in God alone, and only good comes to me. Speak it until your heart beats steady. Speak it until your mind clears. Speak it until the fear vanishes like mist before the Sunday. For fear is nothing but vapor, and faith is the substance. So I ask you now, how much of your life has been shaped not by conscious faith but by unconscious fear? How many losses were not fate, but the harvest of fear thoughts sown in secret? And if that is so, how much more could you change your reality if you chose to sow faith, if you dared to imagine victory, if you spoke truth instead of terror? The law is impartial. It has worked against you in fear. It will work for you in faith. And the moment you switch the direction of belief, your world changes. Transition. And this brings us to a great comfort. For many people tremble, thinking they have waited too long, or they have missed their chance, or that the law will delay. But let me assure you, God is never late. The supply is always on time, and the instant you obey the hunch, the miracle appears. Let us step into that forgotten truth. Now let me tell you something that sets the soul free the moment you grasp it. God is never late. Spirit does not delay. The law of supply does not stumble or forget. It answers instantly when you align with it, but it answers in ways that often defy your reasoning mind. People come to me, trembling, saying, Florence, I needed my good yesterday. Where is it? Why hasn't it shown up? And I say to them, it has already shown up in the invisible. The moment you spoke in faith, the order was placed, the substance was released, the law went into action. You are not waiting for God. God is waiting for you to see, to believe, to obey the inner lead. And when you obey, the door swings open, often at the last possible moment, but always right on time. I recall a woman who came to me one summer day, exhausted, dejected, and down to her last $8. She was ready to give up, but she said she had a hunch to go back home. Reason told her to stay in New York, to find work, to hustle and scrape, but intuition whispered, go home. And I said to her, never violate a hunch. Go, and you will see the way opened. Before she left, I spoke the word over her life. Infinite Spirit opens the way for great abundance for this woman. She is an irresistible magnet for all that belongs to her by divine right. She repeated it over and over, clinging to it like a lifeline. She obeyed the inner voice and went home. Soon, she was linked with an old friend of her family, and through that connection, she received thousands of dollars in the most miraculous way. She often said to me afterward, tell people about the woman with $8 and a hunch. For that was the truth. The supply was already waiting, but it required obedience to the inner direction and faith in the words spoken. Now, here is the danger. When people do not see instant outer results, they grow anxious, they grow doubtful, and they dig up the seed they have just planted. They cancel their own demonstration by worrying. They rehearse disaster in their minds and prepare for failure in their actions. A woman once said to me, "But I must get ready for the poorhouse," and I told her, that is the surest way to get there. She had prepared for failure instead of preparing for her good. And she reaped exactly what she prepared for. Yet another woman, when faced with an impossible apartment shortage, prepared for success instead. She went out and bought blankets for the home she didn't yet have. She said, "I will dig my ditches in faith." And soon, against all odds, she received her perfect apartment. Do you see the pattern? God is never late, but He is exact. He meets you at the level of your faith. If you prepare for loss, you meet loss. If you prepare for success, you meet success. If you obey your intuition, you meet abundance. If you ignore it, you meet delay. The law is swift, the law is sure, the law is unfailing. The only question is whether you will align with it or resist it. Let me give you the affirmation that stamps this truth upon the subconscious. I walk in divine timing. I am never late. I am never too early. My good appears at the perfect moment, in the perfect way, and I recognize it instantly. Nothing can delay what belongs to me by divine right. Speak it, and you will find yourself walking in a rhythm where doors open exactly when you reach them, where money arrives the day the bill is due, where health springs forth the moment it is needed, and where opportunities present themselves just as you are prepared. That is not chance, that is divine law, and it never fails. So I ask you, how many hours have you wasted in anxiety, believing God had forgotten you? How many nights have you tossed, believing the supply would not come? And yet, here you are, still sustained, still breathing, still guided, still provided for. Look back and see how the miracle always came at the moment of need. Look forward and trust that it always will. God is never late. He is punctual to the second. He is precise to the breath. He is exact to the heartbeat. You need not rush Him, you need not beg Him. You need only align with Him and obey the gentle hunch that says, "This is the way, walk ye in it." Transition. And so, we close this first great section of the law of immediate change. You have seen that life is not a battle, but a game to be won by the Word. You have seen that the Word recreates your world at once. You have seen that fear and faith are the same force, and whichever you hold becomes your harvest, and you have seen that God is never late, but always exact. And now the question rises. If the law is instant, how do you command it with precision, so that what appears is not a counterfeit, but the true pattern of your destiny? That takes us into the secret of the divine design. Here is a truth that shocks the mind at first, but liberates the soul the moment it is received. Your life already has a perfect pattern. There is a design, a divine blueprint, a finished picture in the superconscious that belongs to you and only you. You are not wandering aimlessly through chaos. You are not stumbling toward some uncertain fate. You are not at the mercy of chance or circumstance. No, you are moving, even now, through a design that was completed before you ever drew your first breath. And the great task of life is not to invent your destiny, but to recognize it, to align with it, and to allow it to unfold without resistance. Most people do not understand this. They think they must claw their way into success, force their way into love, fight their way into supply. They say, "If I don't grasp this man, I will lose him. If I don't chase this opportunity, it will slip through my fingers. If I don't fight, I will be left behind." But let me tell you the truth. You cannot lose what belongs to you by divine right, and you cannot hold what does not. When you strive to seize what isn't yours, you only bring heartache. When you rest in the divine pattern, you are guided step by step into what is truly yours, and when it arrives, it comes with ease, with harmony, with permanence. I once had a woman come to me who was deeply in love with a man she called A.B. She pleaded with me to speak the word that he would marry her. I said to her, "I cannot speak that word, for it would violate divine law. But I will speak the word for your right man, the divine selection, the one who belongs to you by divine right. If A.B. is that man, you cannot lose him. If he is not, you will receive his equivalent." At first, she clung tightly to her desire, but she obeyed, and I spoke the word. Not long after, she found that her feelings for A.B. began to fade, as though a fog was lifting from her eyes. Soon she met another man who fell in love with her at once, who spoke all the words of devotion she had longed to hear, who treated her with the reverence and love she had desired. She returned to me and said, "It was uncanny, Florence. He said all the things I had always wished, A, B, would say, and yet now they flow from another who truly belongs to me." She was no longer striving, no longer pleading, no longer pushing. She had stepped into her divine pattern, and the result was harmony and joy. Do you see the difference? The divine pattern is always greater than the one you imagine in fear. Your little plan is often a counterfeit, a shadow, a poor substitute. But the divine plan is rich, permanent, overflowing, perfect. The superconscious holds it like a seed holds the full-grown tree. And every flash of intuition, every ideal that seems too good to be true, every sudden glimpse of beauty that passes through your mind, these are glimpses of your true pattern. They are not fantasies. They are prophecies. They are your destiny, whispering, "This belongs to you." So how do you align with this perfect pattern? First, you must release your grip on the counterfeit. Stop demanding specifics. Stop clinging to the wrong person, the wrong opportunity, the wrong door. Declare instead, "I now step into my divine pattern. I desire only what belongs to me by divine right." Nothing can be withheld. Nothing can be lost. What is mine comes to me now, under grace, in perfect ways. When you speak this, you loosen the chains of fear and open the gate to destiny. Second, you must trust that the pattern is unfolding even when appearances contradict it. You may look around and see nothing but delay, confusion, or lack. But, remember, appearances are lies. The divine pattern is already finished. It is waiting behind the veil, and the veil is torn the moment you believe. Keep your eye on the truth, not on the shadows. Keep your heart fixed on the vision, not on the circumstances. Say with conviction, "The divine design of my life now takes shape in definite, concrete experiences that lead me to my heart's desire." Third, you must listen to the gentle flashes of intuition that guide you toward the pattern. It may come as a hunch, as a sudden thought, as a small nudge. Do not dismiss it. That is the superconscious whispering. That is your perfect pattern calling you home. Obey it, and you will find yourself walking into prepared places, prepared people, prepared provision. Resist it, and you will find yourself struggling in wrong rooms, knocking at wrong doors, begging for wrong loves. So let me ask you, are you living by appearances, forcing what isn't yours? Or are you resting in the divine pattern, allowing what is truly yours to arrive? One way leads to endless frustration. The other leads to immediate alignment and lasting joy. You must decide which law you will obey. Transition. And yet, here is the snare so many fall into. They hear of divine design and then try to dictate the details, forcing the pattern into their own narrow image. But divine right cannot be forced. It must be claimed. It must be trusted. It must be allowed. And that takes us into the next secret. Never ask for specifics. Ask only for divine right. Here is something that separates the one who walks in power from the one who stumbles in endless disappointment. The wise soul never demands specifics, but asks only for what belongs to them by divine right. Most people, blinded by desire and fear, try to force life into a narrow picture. They say, "It must be this man, this job, this sum of money, this exact door." They grip it with their whole strength. They beg, they demand, they wrestle, and even if they manage to grasp it for a time, it slips through their hands, leaving them disillusioned and heartbroken. Why? Because it was never theirs by right. It was a counterfeit, and the counterfeit can never remain. The divine plan never needs to be stolen, manipulated, or coerced. The divine plan arrives with ease, with joy, with permanence. You must learn to say, "I want only what belongs to me by divine right. If this opportunity, this person, this possession is mine, it will stay. If it is not, I release it, and I call in its perfect equivalent." That is the safeguard against counterfeit blessings. That is the law that prevents disappointment. When you leave the cut of your coat to the divine tailor, it always fits. When you leave the design of your life to infinite intelligence, it always satisfies. The old philosophers used to say, "The philosopher leaves the cut of his coat to the tailor." That is the secret. Do not outline. Do not dictate. Do not limit the all-wise. Simply declare, "Let the divine selection be made. I claim my right place, my right work, my right relationships, my right supply, and nothing else will satisfy. Let me tell you why this is so necessary. When you demand specifics, you are binding yourself to appearances. You may say, "That man is my soulmate, he must be mine." But what if that man is not free? What if he belongs by divine law to another? What if he is not capable of giving you the love and honor you deserve? You may seize him for a time, but it will not last, for the law cannot be violated. Or you may say, "That job is mine, I must have it." But what if that job is a prison? What if that place stifles your growth and blocks your prosperity? You may win it by force, but you will find it turns bitter, and soon it crumbles. But when you say, "Let the divine right unfold," then the man who truly belongs to you, the work that truly matches you, the supply that truly blesses you, must come. And when comes, it comes to stay. I remember a woman who demanded that I speak the word for a certain position she wanted. She said, "Florence, declare that this company will hire me." I said, "No, I will not declare that, for I do not know if it belongs to you. I will speak the word for your right position, divinely chosen, divinely prepared, divinely financed." She accepted, though reluctantly. Not long after, she was offered another position greater in pay, freer in atmosphere, more suited to her talents, and she said to me, "If I had taken the first, I would have missed the second. Thank God you held me to divine right." That is why I never outline. Outlining limits the limitless. Outlining tells God how to do his work. And infinite intelligence, let me remind you, knows ways you know not of, has channels you have never dreamed, and brings results more wonderful than anything you could plan. The question you must ask yourself is this: do you want your little plan, which ends in ashes, or God's great plan, which ends in glory? Do you want your outline, which disappoints, or his design, which satisfies? The choice is yours, and it is made every time you open your mouth. When you demand specifics, you chain yourself to limitation. When you ask only for divine right, you fling open the gates of abundance. Here's the affirmation that unlocks this secret. I now let go of worn-out conditions and worn-out things. Only what belongs to me by divine right now comes. Only what is mine in the kingdom of God can stay. I refuse counterfeits. I accept only the real. The divine design of my life now manifests in perfect ways. Speak it often, and you will find that the wrong dissolves quickly, and the right rushes in to take its place. So I say to you, stop outlining. Stop dictating. Stop demanding that life bend to your little plan. Stand back, release, trust, and declare the law of divine right. For the divine right is always greater than your dream. Always. Larger than your vision. Always richer than your imagination. You cannot outdream God. You cannot outplan infinite intelligence. But you can limit it by clinging to the wrong. Release the wrong, and you receive the right. Transition. And once you release the wrong and call in the right, the next step is to learn how the divine plan reveals itself, not through struggle, not through intellect, but through intuition, the flash of the Spirit, the still small voice that says, "This is the way." And that is where we go next. Now let me reveal to you the secret messenger of the divine design, the voice of intuition. Intuition is the flash of the Spirit, the whisper of the superconscious, the signal from God himself that says, "This is the way, walk ye in it." It is not reason, for reason argues and delays. It is not intellect, for intellect doubts and debates. Intuition is higher, swifter, clearer. It does not explain itself, it does not prove itself, it simply knows. It arrives like lightning, like a flash across the mind, and the wise soul obeys at once. The unwise ignores it, argues against it, and wanders into trouble. The greatest victories I have ever witnessed came not through endless planning or calculating, but through one instant of obedience to intuition. Prayer is asking, but intuition is God's answer. Most people pray and then rise up to reason, saying, "How will this happen? When will this come? Through which channel will it arrive?" And in doing so, they choke the answer. The real way is to pray and then wait in stillness, listening for the gentle nudge, the quiet hunch, the sudden thought that may seem too small or too strange to matter. That is the key. Intuition rarely shouts. It speaks softly, but it is sure. One obedient step, and the whole pathway opens. One ignored hunch, and the door remains shut. I recall a student of mine who longed for a great journey abroad. She had little money, no contacts, no clear way to make it happen. Yet she held the vision and spoke the word. I give thanks for my divinely designed trip, divinely financed, under grace and in perfect ways. Then one day, intuition nudged her to buy a trunk. It was not practical. She had no ticket, no plans, no funds, but the hunch was clear. She obeyed. She bought a large, bright trunk, banded in red, and every time she saw it, her faith was stirred. She began to feel the sway of the ship, smell the sea air, hear the cry of gulls. That trunk put her in vibration with her journey. Not long after, money came from an unexpected channel, and her trip unfolded in every detail. Intuition had led her to a simple act that unlocked the entire demonstration. Contrast this with those who ignore the inner voice. I have known people who argued away their blessings. Intuition told them to take a certain street, to call a certain friend, to give a certain gift, but they said, "Oh, that's silly. That makes no sense." And because they disobeyed, they missed the connection, the opportunity, the supply that was already waiting. God's ways are not man's ways, and the reasoning mind is too slow, too narrow, too blind to perceive the divine shortcut. That is why intuition is the flash of the divine, the straight line to your good. So how do you cultivate this holy faculty? You begin by affirming before sleep. Tonight I will be divinely guided. Tomorrow I will know what to do. I will awaken with clarity. I will hear the inner voice, and I will obey it. You begin by acting on small hunches quickly, without argument. Buy the trunk, make the call, take the detour, give the gift. Obey the flash, and you will find that intuition grows louder, clearer, more constant. Ignore it, and it fades. Obedience is the key. Now, let me tell you this. Intuition is never the voice of fear. If the voice you hear says, "Don't step forward, you might fail," that is not intuition. If it says, "Stay small, stay safe, stay hidden," that is not intuition. Intuition is bold, clear, calm, and certain. It is never anxious, it is never confused. It always carries with it the feeling of peace, even when it requires a daring step. That is how you know the difference. Fear drives you into hiding, intuition leads you into expansion. So I ask you, how many miracles have you missed because you ignored the flash of the divine? How many delays have you endured because you argued with the still small voice? And how many breakthroughs are waiting this very moment, if only you would quiet the mind and listen? Your divine design is revealed step by step, not by maps, not by logic, not by endless planning, but by flashes of intuition. Trust them, and you will never lose your way. Here's an affirmation that opens the channel. I am always divinely guided. I hear the inner voice clearly, I obey without hesitation, and I am led into my perfect path. Speak it often, and you will find your life becoming a chain of divine appointments, a series of effortless connections, a continual unfolding of right doors, right people, right opportunities. That is the life of one who listens to the flash of the divine. Transition. But intuition not only reveals the right path, it also dissolves the wrong. Many are held back by resentment, envy, and fear, but the law of love sweeps these away in an instant. That is our next secret. The dissolving power of divine love. One of the greatest secrets I ever learned, and one that I have spoken into the lives of countless people who came to me in despair, is this. No matter how tangled the situation, no matter how dark the condition, no matter how strong the chains of resentment, fear, or envy appear, divine love can dissolve it all in an instant. Divine love is the great solvent. It breaks down what does not belong to you. It sweeps away the counterfeit, it removes the walls that shut you in, and it prepares the way for your true good to enter. You may have been told that time heals, that years are required for bitterness to fade, that long struggles are needed to undo wrong conditions. But I tell you, love works swifter than time, stronger than willpower, and more perfectly than struggle. The moment you release resentment and speak the word of love, the crooked is made straight, the walls fall flat, and harmony appears. Resentment is a prison. Envy is a poison. Fear is a chain. These are the real thieves of life, and they are always internal. People imagine that their enemies are outside. That person wronged me, they say, and because of them my life is ruined. But the truth is, the only enemy is the picture you hold and the feeling you rehearse. If you carry bitterness, It lodges in your own consciousness, and the law, impartial and exact, reproduces it as loss, delay, and disappointment. If you envy another's blessing, you shut the door on your own. If you rehearse fear, you magnetize the very thing you dread. That is why the scriptures say, the walls of Jericho fell down when the people shouted. What was that shout? It was the shout of truth. It was the release of faith. It was the decree of love that dissolved the barriers of resentment and opened the way into the promised land. I recall a woman who came to me, filled with jealousy because a friend had received a beautiful gift. She admitted that the envy burned within her, and she could not rejoice. I said to her, "Speak this word. What God has done for others, He now does for me, and more." She obeyed. Within days, she received an exact duplicate of the gift her friend had been given, and on top of that, an additional present. Do you see the law at work? Envy had blocked her blessing, but the moment she dissolved it with truth and love, her own gift rushed in. Another woman once stood before me, trembling with hatred toward one who had wronged her. She said, "I cannot forgive. I cannot let it go." I said, "You must, not for their sake, but for your own. For as long as you carry hatred, you carry chains. Speak this word. I cast the burden of resentment on the Christ within me, and I go free." She repeated it again and again, and soon the heavy cloud lifted. Peace returned to her heart. The situation itself, which had seemed impossible, shifted in her favor without effort. Why? Because she let divine love dissolve the poison, and when the poison was gone, the law could bring her good. So I say to you, do not wait for years, do not beg for time to heal, do not rehearse wrongs. Begin now to dissolve every false condition with love. Say, divine love now dissolves everything that is not of itself. Resentment goes, envy goes, fear goes, love sweeps clean, love makes clear. Love brings my good. The subconscious cannot resist it, the outer world must obey it. Love is the key that melts the iron doors, crumbles the brick walls, breaks the heavy chains, and leads you into freedom. Look closely at your life. Where are you held back? Is it an unforgiven wrong? Is it an envy you dare not admit? Is it a fear that grips you in secret? Whatever it is, love is greater, and love can dissolve it in a moment. Say to yourself, this condition is unreal. It has no permanence. It is dissolved by divine love now, and the perfect state appears in its place. Do not think of love as weak, sentimental, or soft. Divine love is the strongest force in the universe. It is not passive, it is powerful. It is not fragile, it is mighty. It is the great bulldozer that flattens the walls of Jericho. It is the great fire that melts the chains. It is the great solvent that washes away wrong and leaves only truth standing. Transition. And when wrong is dissolved, when the poison of resentment is washed away, when the counterfeit collapses, what appears in its place? The perfect pattern. The fourth dimensional world, where everything is finished and complete. And that is where we must look next. Here is a secret that turns the key in the lock of limitation. You must stop living by appearances and step into the fourth dimension, the world of truth. The world of appearances is a liar. It shouts lack when abundance is already prepared. It shows sickness when health is already yours. It parades delay when the blessing is at the door. Most men and women are prisoners of this world of appearances. They stare at the visible. They rehearse what they see, and they declare it as final. They say, I am sick, I am poor, I am alone, I am defeated. And because their words are law, they sow the very seed of the thing they dread. But the wise soul knows this world of appearances is only the shadow, not the substance. Behind the shadow stands the eternal pattern, already finished, already perfect, already waiting to be called into view. That is the fourth dimension. In the fourth dimension, time and space are illusions. Everything is here, now. Your heart's desire is not waiting to be made, it is already made. Your healing is not somewhere far off, it is already complete. Your abundance is not being gathered slowly, it already exists in the storehouse of spirit. What you call future is simply what you have not yet dared to claim. When Jesus said, "Lift up your eyes and look on the fields, for they are white already to harvest," he was not speaking of grain, he was speaking of this fourth dimensional truth. The harvest is already ripe. The supply is already finished. The victory is already won. The only question is, will you lift up your eyes? Will you look beyond appearances into truth? Let me give you a picture. In the scriptures, we read of the kings who were told by the prophet to dig ditches in a dry valley. There was no sign of rain, no cloud in the sky, no stream nearby. To dig ditches seemed madness. And yet they obeyed. They dug the ditches, they prepared the channels, and without wind, without rain, water filled the valley and supplied the army. That is, fourth-dimensional faith. That is acting as though the thing is already complete. Even when appearances deny it, they prepared the vessels and the supply rushed in. That is your task. Prepare your ditch, even in the desert. I recall a student who longed for a home. There was no money, no opportunity, no open door. Yet, she prepared as though the home were already hers. She bought little furnishings, she imagined herself walking through the rooms, she spoke the word of thanksgiving. I give thanks for my divinely prepared home, divinely financed, under grace and in perfect ways. Soon, without struggle, the home appeared. Appearances had said, impossible. The fourth dimension said, already finished, and by aligning with the fourth dimension, she stepped into it. So how do you live in this higher realm? First, you must refuse to judge by sight. Do not rehearse the negative report. Do not repeat the doctor's verdict. Do not declare the balance of your bank account as final. These are appearances, shadows, temporary illusions. Say instead, I look beyond appearances. I see truth. I see health. I see supply. I see victory. And I call it into view now. Second, you must act as though it were already done. Prepare the ditch. Buy the trunk. Set the table. Make room for the blessing. Do not wait for evidence, create the evidence by your faith. Third, you must continually declare the reality of the fourth dimension, for the word spoken brings the invisible into the visible. Say daily, the fields are white with harvest, my supply is ripe, my good is here, I walk in the finished work of spirit. Now let me ask you, are you staring at the shadows and calling them real? Or are you lifting your eyes to the finished fields of truth? Are you dwelling in the desert, or are you digging your ditch? Are you crying for rain, or are you acting as though the valley is already filled? The fourth dimension is not far off. It is here, it is now, it is yours too. Enter. And here is the affirmation that anchors this reality. I do not judge by appearances. I look beyond into the world of truth. I see my heart's desire finished, complete, established now. I prepare my ditch, and my supply rushes in, under grace and in perfect ways. Speak it until the shadows dissolve. Speak it until the inner picture is clear. Speak it until the outer aligns with the inner. For when you live in the fourth dimension, miracles are no longer rare, they are daily law. Transition. And so you see that your divine design is already complete, already perfect, already waiting for recognition. But perhaps you ask, how do I hold to this truth when doubts attack? How do I remain steady when fear whispers? That brings us to the next great section, breaking the power of fear and delay once and for all. Here is the truth that so many souls stumble over. Fear and delay are not two separate enemies, they are one and the same. Fear is the mother of delay. Fear is the architect of postponement. Fear whispers, it will take time, it will be hard, it may never happen. And the subconscious, which always obeys, carries out the command like a faithful servant. Fear writes the record of defeat, and delay is the harvest. But listen to me carefully. Fear has no substance of its own. It is only faith turned upside down. It is belief in the power of evil instead of belief in the power of good. It is confidence in disaster instead of confidence in deliverance. The moment you expose fear as false faith, as counterfeit faith, you see it crumble. And when fear is gone, delay vanishes with it, for nothing remains to hold your good back. How many people have told me, I have affirmed and affirmed, yet nothing changes? They say, Florence, I have spoken the word, but the demonstration has not come. And when I look closely, I see that they have been speaking with their lips, but canceling with their hearts. They have declared abundance, yet rehearsed lack in secret. They have spoken health, yet feared sickness at night. They have affirmed love, yet nursed bitterness in the dark. They have said the words, but not smashed the record. For the subconscious is like a phonograph, it plays back whatever has been recorded, whether true or false, whether good or evil, whether faith or fear. If the old record of fear is still running, your new word cannot be heard. The first task is to break the record, to shatter the groove, to cast out the old vibration and to engrave a new one of faith and truth. I once counseled a man who for years had carried the thought, "I am always unlucky." He spoke it often, half in jest, half in despair. It had become his favorite phrase. And sure enough, he was unlucky. He lost opportunities, he missed connections, he watched others succeed while he failed. When he came to me, I said, "You have built this unlucky track in your mind. You are like a train stuck on the wrong rails. The more you declare it, the deeper the groove, and the more inevitable the result. Now you must smash the record." I gave him this affirmation: I am lucky, I am divinely guided. Nothing but good comes to me. Every door swings wide, every delay dissolves. My way is made clear. At first, it felt strange to him, for the old groove resisted, but he persisted, and soon the outer world shifted. Doors opened, opportunities appeared. He began to say to me, "Florence, it is uncanny, things just fall into place." It was not uncanny, it was the law. He had smashed the record of fear and delay and recorded a new one of faith and speed. Delay is always fear in disguise. People say, "It takes time to heal." No, it takes faith to heal. People say, "It takes time to prosper." No, it takes truth to prosper. People say, "Someday my good will come." No, your good is already here, waiting for your recognition. Every time you postpone, every time you outline a far-off future, you push your good away. You must bring it into the present with your word. Say, "I receive my good now. I walk in my healing now. I enter my abundance now." Delay is dissolved, fear is cast out, and the law works instantly. So I ask you, what records are still running in your mind? What grooves of fear keep you bound to delay? Are you still saying, "Things never work out for me"? Are you still thinking, "I'll never get ahead"? Are you still fearing, "What if I fail again"? If so, you are sowing delay. But the moment you recognize it, you can smash it. Take the hammer of truth and strike the old record. Say aloud, "I break every record of fear, I smash every groove of delay. I erase every picture of defeat. I engrave new records of speed, abundance, health, love, and perfect self-expression. By divine law, my good appears now." And keep striking until the old record is shattered, until the new song plays clear and strong. Remember this: the law is instant, the delay is only in you. The law is swift. The hesitation is only in your fear. The law is perfect, the obstruction is only in your old record. Smash the record, cast the burden, declare the truth, and watch how quickly the tide turns. You will be amazed how fast fear vanishes when faced with faith, how swiftly delay dissolves when met with a bold now. Transition. And this brings us to a mighty practice that I have given to countless souls in bondage: the practice of casting the burden onto Christ within. For once the burden is lifted, the record of fear is broken, and the subconscious is free to create anew. That is where we turn next. Here is a practice so simple that the reasoning mind despises it, and yet so powerful that it has delivered thousands from despair in an instant. The practice of casting the burden. Every man and woman carries burdens. Some carry the burden of money, debts that press like a weight upon the chest. Others carry the burden of sickness, dragging the body like a heavy chain. Others carry the burden of broken relationships, of bitterness, of loneliness, of disappointment. And still others carry the burden of fear itself: fear of the future, fear of loss, fear of death. These burdens are heavy, and those who carry them grow stooped and weary. But Christ said, "Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." This is not a poetic invitation, this is a law. The Christ within you, the God self at the center of your being, is the burden bearer, and when you cast the burden onto him, it is lifted from you in an instant. But most people will not cast their burdens, they insist on carrying them. They say, "It is my problem, I must solve it, I must carry it until I find a way." And so they stagger, bent double under the load, never realizing that they are playing Pharaoh's slaves, making bricks without straw, when freedom has been purchased for them. The moment you say, "I cast this burden upon the Christ within me," something happens. The subconscious, which had been locked on the problem, is released. Infinite intelligence takes over, and the solution appears, swift and perfect. The burden that seemed impossible is gone, and the miracle steps in. I recall a woman who came to me, wringing her hands over a lawsuit. She said, "Florence, the case is lost. I cannot fight it. I cannot sleep. The fear is crushing me." I said to her, "Then stop fighting. Cast the burden. Say, I cast this burden of lawsuit on the Christ within me, and I go free. He is my defense, my shield, my deliverer. I do not fight, I rest, and the victory is won." She obeyed. She repeated it until peace entered her mind. The next time she came to me, her face was shining. "The case was settled in my favor," she said. It was miraculous. What had seemed hopeless turned in a day. That was no accident. That was the law. She cast the burden, and the Christ within carried it. Another woman came to me, burdened with illness. She had rehearsed every symptom, every fear, every doctor's verdict. I said, "You are carrying the burden yourself, and that is why you are crushed. Say, I cast this burden of sickness on the Christ within me. I do not accept it, it is not mine. The Christ within is my health, my strength, my life. I go free." She obeyed, and with every repetition, her body lightened, her eyes cleared, her fear dissolved. Soon the sickness, too, dissolved, for it had lost its power when she laid it down. This practice is not passive, it is not resignation. It is the highest form of action. To cast the burden is to release the false and give it to the only one who can dissolve it. It is to stop wrestling with shadows and let the light of Christ shine them away. And once the burden is cast, you must refuse to pick it up again. Do not pray it back onto your shoulders. Do not worry it back into your mind. Each time the thought returns, say again, "I have cast this burden on the Christ within me. It is no longer mine. I am free. I rest in the victory already won." So I ask you, what burden are you still carrying? What weight do you still drag behind you? Is it money? Is it sickness? Is it fear? Is it resentment? Whatever it is, cast it now. Say aloud, "I cast this burden upon the Christ within me, and I go free." Do not wait, do not argue, do not plan. Cast it and rest. For the Christ within you is mighty. He never slumbers nor sleeps. He knows ways you know not of. He works through channels unseen, methods unknown, doors you cannot imagine. And when he carries it, it is solved. Remember the words of the psalmist. "Cast thy burden upon the Lord, and he shall sustain thee. Not he may, not he might, but he shall." This is law. This is certainty. This is the rest that comes when the heavy load is lifted and you walk upright, free, light, victorious. Transition. And once the burden is cast, once the fear is lifted, once the old record is shattered, a new record must be engraved. For nature abhors a vacuum, and the subconscious, once emptied, must be filled with truth. And that brings us to the next great secret. Engraving the new reality with the spoken word. Once the burden is cast, once fear is dissolved, once the old record is shattered, the work is not finished, it has only just begun. For you cannot leave the subconscious mind empty. Nature abhors a vacuum, and the subconscious, that faithful servant, demands new orders. If you do not engrave truth upon it, error will creep back in. If you do not sow good seed, weeds will sprout. That is why, after casting the burden, you must immediately begin to engrave the new reality. You must etch the picture of victory, health, wealth, and love so deeply into the hidden places of your mind that nothing contrary can take root. This is done through the spoken word, repeated with conviction, charged with faith, saturated with the power of God. Every word you speak is like a chisel against the stone of your subconscious. Strike long enough, strike strong enough, and the image of truth will be carved deep and permanent, and your outer life will rise to match it. Many people make the mistake of thinking a casual word will undo years of fear. They speak a truth once or twice, half believing, half doubting, and then grow discouraged when nothing seems to change. But the old record has been playing for years, and the grooves run deep. To overwrite them, you must strike again and again, with joy, with persistence, with certainty. Each affirmation is a blow of the hammer, each declaration a mark of the chisel, until the old picture is completely replaced with the new. And here is the wonder. The moment the new picture is engraved, the subconscious rushes to carry it out. The body obeys, the circumstances obey, the people and opportunities around you obey. For the subconscious never questions, it only executes. I recall a woman who had lived for years in poverty. Her words had always been, "I never have enough. Money slips through my hands. I can't afford it." These words had etched grooves of lack so deep that her entire life was a portrait of insufficiency. When she came to me, I said, "You must engrave a new reality. Take this word and speak it until it is etched upon your heart. God is my immediate supply." Large sums of money come to me quickly, easily, and under grace in perfect ways. At first, it felt like a lie to her, for her purse was empty, her rent unpaid. But she persisted. She struck the chisel daily. She declared it morning and night. And soon, unexpected channels opened, gifts flowed in, opportunities appeared. Within a year, she was living in abundance. What changed? Not the outer world first, but the engraving of the inner picture. The new record replaced the old, and the law did the rest. Another student longed for healing. The doctors had declared her incurable, and the old record of sickness played constantly in her mind. I said to her, "Erase that record, cast the burden, now engrave health. Say, divine love floods my consciousness with light, and every cell of my body is filled with radiant health. I am strong, I am whole, I am well." She spoke it, even when she felt weak. She declared it, even when symptoms screamed otherwise. And as the new record took hold, her body responded. She walked free of the condition that had bound her, not by struggle, but by engraving a new reality through the spoken word. So I ask you now, what record are you still allowing to play? Is it the record of failure, repeating, "I can't, I can't, I can't"? Is it the record of sickness, declaring, "I am weak, I am broken"? Is it the record of poverty, saying, "There is never enough"? Smash it, cast it out, and replace it with a record of truth. Choose your words, write them upon your heart, and declare them until they are engraved. Then watch as your life becomes a DC reflection of that new engraving. Here is a practice. Take one affirmation of truth, the one that speaks most to your need, and repeat it throughout the day, not mechanically, but with feeling, with joy, with thanksgiving. Let it be the song on your lips, the rhythm of your heartbeat. Say, "I am divinely guided, I am divinely provided for, I am divinely protected, I am divinely prospered." Each repetition is a stroke of the chisel, carving truth deeper into your being. And soon, the old record will be gone, and the new reality will stand unshakable. Remember, delay comes when the old record still plays. Speed comes when the new record is engraved. Cast the burden, smash the fear, then engrave the truth, and your demonstration will not linger, it will spring forth like a fountain, immediate and unstoppable. Transition. And this leads us into the rhythm of life itself, for once you have engraved the new reality, you must walk in it, steady and unwavering, no matter what appearances may whisper. For the word spoken not only breaks the old and engraves the new, it commands your world into order. That is the next secret we will unfold. The spoken word as immediate command. Now we step into the highest use of the word, the place where speech is no longer mere description but command, no longer repetition but decree. For the tongue of man was never given simply to chatter or to complain. It was given as the scepter of dominion. Life and death are in the power of the tongue, declared the scripture. And those who understand this wield their words as kings and queens, speaking not timidly, not vaguely, not someday, but now commanding reality to obey divine law. You have heard me say again and again that words are wands, and the wand is in your hand. One sentence spoken in faith can shatter years of bondage. One affirmation declared with conviction can open the door of supply, heal the body, restore the relationship, or dissolve the obstacle. This is not magic, as the world calls it. It is divine law, and the law is unfailing. Consider the law of wealth. The world says you must labor endlessly, save with fear, scrape and hoard, struggle and compete, and perhaps you will gain a little. But divine law says, God is your supply, and large sums of money come to you quickly, easily, and under grace, in perfect ways. When you speak this, you are not begging for money. You are commanding the invisible substance to take form. You are declaring to the universe, I will not live in lack. I align with the storehouses of heaven. And the law obeys. I knew a woman crushed by a debt of $3,000, with no possible channel in sight. She was drowning in fear, But I gave her this affirmation. I cast this burden of debt on the Christ within me. I am free to receive abundance. I give thanks that the money, which is mine by divine right, now appears under grace in a perfect way. She clung to it, she repeated it, she commanded with her tongue. Soon, in a way she could never have outlined, the entire debt was cleared, and more remained in her hand. That is the spoken word as command. And consider the law of health. The world says sickness is inevitable, decline is natural, pain is permanent. But divine law says, divine love floods my consciousness with light, and every cell of my body is healed, renewed, and restored. When you speak this, you are not describing what you wish for. You are commanding what already exists in truth to manifest in form. You are saying, let there be light in this body, and let every shadow flee. And I have seen tumors vanish, diseases dissolve, strength return, simply because the tongue dared to declare health with conviction. The body is the servant of the subconscious, and the subconscious obeys the word. And what of work, of service, of purpose? Many wander in confusion, begging for employment, fearing unemployment, worrying over lack of direction. But the word of, I have a perfect work in a perfect way, I give perfect service for perfect pay. Speak it, and you align yourself with the divine design of your life. Doors swing open, positions are offered, and the perfect work that belongs to you appears not by force, not by chance, but by command. I have given this affirmation to many who thought they had no place, and they returned to me saying, it was uncanny, the offer came out of nowhere, and it was better than I could have dreamed. It was not uncanny. It was the law. The word commanded, and the world obeyed. Now let me remind you, to speak a command is not to plead. Pleading is weakness, command is power. Do not say, oh God, please send me money, please heal me, please open the way. That is begging, and begging has no power. Say instead, I give thanks that supply appears now. I give thanks that health is mine now. I give thanks that the way is open now. Speak as one who knows, not as one who doubts. Speak as one in authority, for you are made in the image of the Creator, and the Creator spoke the world into being. And God said, let there be light, and there was light. The same power is in your tongue. Dare to use it, dare to command, dare to say, let there be, and watch it appear. So I ask you, what are you commanding with your words today? Are you commanding delay by saying it will take time? Are you commanding sickness by saying, I always get ill in winter? Are you commanding lack by saying, money slips through my fingers? Then stop. Withdraw those decrees at once. Cancel them with truth. Speak instead, I live in divine abundance. My health is radiant. My path is clear. I walk in victory now. For the spoken word is law, and every law obeys the one who commands with faith. Here is your affirmation. I speak the word, and it is accomplished. My words are seeds of power. I command health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression now, and by divine law, it appears under grace and in perfect ways. Declare it until it becomes the very rhythm of your being. Speak it until every atom of your body vibrates with it. Speak it until the universe resounds with it. And then stand still and watch the salvation of the Lord. Transition. For the spoken word is not a whisper, it is a decree. It is not a request, it is a command. And once you have learned to command, you must also learn to walk in the poise that holds it, refusing to be shaken, no matter what appearances arise. That is the next key on this path, remaining unshaken and walking through every open door. We come now to one of the greatest needs of mankind, the question that sits heavy on the heart of countless souls. The matter of supply, of money, of provision. Let me say it plain and without hesitation, God is your supply, not your job, not your bank, not the market, not even the generous hand of another person. God alone is the source, and money is but one of his instruments. Money is not substance, it is symbol. It is freedom, it is circulation, it is energy made visible. And the one who understands this never bows to money as master, never fears its lack, never clutches it with anxious hands. The one who understands stands upright and says, God is my supply. Large sums of money come to me quickly, easily, and under grace, in perfect ways. And the law obeys, because the law is exact. You must begin to declare wealth, not as some far-off dream, but as a present reality. Stop saying, I can't afford this. Stop saying, I am always broke. Stop rehearsing phrases of poverty. Every word you speak is a decree, and when you speak lack, you engrave lack upon your life. Do you not see how the world trains you to repeat phrases of insufficiency? To sigh over bills, to groan over prices, to say with resignation, that's too much for me. Each of these is a curse upon your own supply, each one shuts the door. But the moment you reverse the word, the moment you begin to declare wealth, the doors swing open. Say instead, I give thanks that I am rich in substance, rich in ideas, rich in opportunities, and rich in money. My supply is limitless, my purse is filled, my channels are open, and abundance flows to me now. Speak it until the old habit of poverty is broken. I remember a woman who came to me with only $2 in her purse. Her face was drawn with fear. Florence, she said, this is all I have. I replied, bless it. Declare it the magic purse of spirit that can never be depleted. I gave her the affirmation. As money goes out, immediately money flows in. I never deplete, for my purse is filled with the inexhaustible riches of God. She obeyed. She stopped cursing her lack and began blessing her purse. Within a short time, she was given $6,000, a fortune compared to where she stood before. That was no accident. That was the law, swift and sure, responding to the word. Another man came to me, bound by debt, harassed by creditors, nearly crushed under the load of $3,000 he could not pay. Reason told him he was finished. Appearances declared defeat. But I said to him, cast the burden and speak the word. Say, I cast this burden of debt on the Christ within me. I am free to receive my abundance. I give thanks that the money which is mine by divine right now appears quickly and easily, under grace, in perfect ways. He repeated it faithfully, though appearances denied it. Within a short time, the money appeared, the debt was cleared, and he stood free. Again, the law obeyed the spoken word. So I ask you, how do you speak of money? Do you call it scarce? Do you call it hard to come by? Do you groan when you pay a bill, sending out words of resistance? Then no wonder it flees from you. You must change your speech. You must change your declarations. When you pay a bill, bless it. Say, I pay this in joy, and it returns to me multiplied. When you see money, bless it. Say, money flows freely to me and through me. I am a channel of divine supply. When you think of your future, declare, I walk in abundance. I am rich in every good thing. I have more than enough, and I share freely. Do not wait for evidence. Do not wait for your purse to swell before you speak. Speak first, and the evidence will follow. That is the law. Faith precedes manifestation. The word goes out before the supply appears. Speak it, and it is done. Here's an affirmation to engrave upon your heart. God is my unfailing supply, and large sums of money come to me quickly, easily, and under grace, in perfect ways. I am rich, I am free. I am an irresistible magnet for all that belongs to me by divine right. Say it until you feel it. Say it until fear vanishes. Say it until you walk with the dignity of one who knows their source is unlimited. And then watch how swiftly channels open, gifts appear, opportunities arise, debts dissolve, and abundance flows. For wealth is not a future, it is a present. It is not a maybe, it is a law. It is not reserved for others, it belongs to you as much as to anyone, for God is no respecter of persons. The question is not, will the supply come? The question is, will you declare it? Transition. And once you learn to declare wealth with authority, you will see the same power works in every dimension of life. If words can command money, they can command health. If the tongue can draw riches, it can restore the body. That is our next revelation, the spoken word of healing, health declared into being. There is no bondage more feared by humanity than the bondage of sickness, and yet I tell you with the authority of divine law, health is your birthright, vitality is your natural state, and disease has no power except the power you give it through fear and speech. The body is not master, the body is servant. It does not think, it does not argue, it does not choose. It obeys the blueprint impressed upon the subconscious, and that blueprint is drawn by your words. If you declare, I am always sick, I always catch what's going around, I am weak, I am failing, then your body must obey and produce the very pictures you have given it. If you declare, I am strong, I am radiant, I am whole, divine life flows through me, then the cells and tissues, the blood and nerves, the organs and bones, all hear the command and reorganize themselves to obey. Life and death are in the power of the tongue, and the tongue governs the body as surely as it governs circumstances. I have seen this law proved again and again. A woman once came to me in terror, convinced she carried an incurable disease. She had spoken of it, read about it, rehearsed it, lived in dread of it, and sure enough, her body began to show the symptoms. Fear had written the record, and the body played it back. I said to her, stop rehearsing the lie, smash that record now. Say, divine love floods my consciousness with light, and every cell of my body is filled with radiant health. I am strong. I am whole. I am well. Speak it until the body obeys. She obeyed. She stopped declaring sickness and began declaring health. In time, the symptoms vanished, her fear dissolved, and she walked in freedom. The body had simply responded to a new command. Another woman, facing constant exhaustion, said to me, I can't go on. I am worn out, I said. Then of course you are worn out, for you have said it. Speak instead, I am alive with the life of spirit. Every atom of my being is charged with divine energy. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. She changed her word, and as she changed her word, her strength returned. It was not medicine, it was not struggle, it was not chance, it was the law of the spoken word manifesting in her body. So I ask you now, what are you saying about your health? Are you echoing the world's talk of disease, repeating names of affliction, giving power to every diagnosis and every symptom? Or are you declaring truth, speaking life, engraving health into the very core of your being? Remember, the subconscious does not argue. It does not say, this disease is real, this sickness is proven. It only says, yes, Master, and obeys your decree. If you decree weakness, weakness appears. If you decree health, health appears. Never forget, the body is a perfect instrument made in the image of the divine. It contains within it the pattern of eternal youth, eternal life, eternal wholeness. The only reason you do not see it is because you have buried it under the rubble of fear and false words. But the moment you speak truth, the rubble falls away, and the perfect pattern shines through. That is why Jesus, when he healed, always spoke the word, be thou made whole. He did not beg. He did not plead. He commanded, and the body obeyed, for the spoken word is law. Here is an affirmation for you to engrave upon your heart. Divine love floods my consciousness with light, and my whole body is radiant with health. Every organ is perfect, every cell is alive, every function is in order, for I am the temple of the living God, and no evil can dwell within me. Speak it daily, speak it boldly, speak it when you feel strong and when you feel weak, and you will see your body align. You may say, but the doctor has said this illness is incurable, and I say to you, with God all things are possible. What is incurable to man is nothing to spirit. Spirit made your body, and spirit can restore it. Do not repeat the doctor's decree, speak God's decree. You may say, but my family has always been sick, and I say, break the record. You are not bound by heredity, you are bound only by your words. Declare a new inheritance, the inheritance of health, strength, vitality, and long life. Health is not far off. Health is here, now, the moment. You stop giving power to sickness and start giving power to truth. The body obeys. For the law of the spoken word is instant, exact, unfailing. Declare health, and health is yours. Transition. And once you have learned to command money and health with your word, you will see that the same law governs your work, your purpose, your service. For just as you can speak wealth into being and health into form, you can also declare right work, perfect expression, and joyful service. That is where we turn next. There is no area where fear and confusion grip humanity more tightly than in the matter of work, what men call career, occupation, livelihood, calling. How many walk the streets weary and broken because they believe themselves out of place, without purpose, trapped in toil that drains the life but does not satisfy the soul? How many cling to employment they despise, fearing to leave lest they starve, while others wander unemployed, declaring over and over, there is nothing for me, there is no place for me, I cannot find my way. These words are curses, and they engrave themselves on the subconscious until the outer world reflects them in frustration and despair. But I tell you plainly, there is a perfect work prepared for every soul. There is a place that belongs to you, and no one else can fill it. There is a channel of service that matches your gift, a way of expression that satisfies your heart, a door of labor that brings not only pay but joy. It is already finished in the divine design, and it will appear the moment you declare it with your word. Never say, "There is no work for me." Never say, "I am stuck where I am." Never say, "I must accept what I can get." These are words of bondage. Say instead, "I have a perfect work in a perfect way. I give perfect service for perfect pay." This affirmation is a golden key. I have given it to countless students, and I have seen it open doors again and again, often with breathtaking speed. The word spoken sets the law in motion, and the law cannot fail. Let me tell you of a young man who had lost his employment and drifted in despair. He came to me saying, "Florence, I have knocked at every door, and none open. I cannot go on." I gave him the affirmation, "I have a perfect work in a perfect way. I give perfect service for perfect pay." At first he doubted, but I told him, "Speak it anyway, for faith grows with repetition." He began to declare it daily. Not long after, he was offered a position that matched his talents, paid him more than before, and gave him joy. He returned to me with shining face and said, "The words worked like magic." It was not magic, it was law. Another woman, trapped in work she hated, declared this affirmation until the doors opened for her to begin a new path, one that brought joy and prosperity. She said to me, "I had been clinging to the wrong out of fear, but once I began declaring the right, the wrong dissolved and the right appeared." That is how the law always works. So I ask you now, how do you speak about your work? Do you complain, "I hate my job, but I must endure"? Do you declare, "No one wants what I have to give"? Do you repeat, "There is nothing better for me"? If so, you are engraving lack of work upon your life. Stop at once. Change your words. Say instead, "The divine design of my life now brings me perfect work, perfect service, perfect pay. I love what I do, I bless what I give, and I prosper in joy." Do not be afraid to release the wrong. Many cling to poor work out of fear, and by so doing, they block the right work from appearing. But when you speak the word and declare the truth, the wrong dissolves and the right rushes in. The law never leaves you empty. One door shuts, another opens. One channel dries, another flows. One task ends, a better one begins. When you declare right work, you enter the current of divine supply, and the current never fails. Here is your affirmation. I am now in my perfect work. I do what I love. I give perfect service in perfect ways. I receive perfect pay, and I am divinely compensated for all that I give. Declare it daily, and soon you will find yourself not struggling for a place, but moving naturally into the place already prepared for you. Work is not drudgery, it is expression. Work is not punishment, it is fulfillment. Work is not bondage, it is freedom when divinely chosen. And the divine design already holds your place. Your part is to declare it until the law brings it into view. Transition. And once you understand this law of work, you see that the spoken word governs every arena of life. With your word you command wealth, with your word you command health, with your word you command work. And now, with your word, you must command victory itself, walking not as one who begs for blessings, but as one who knows the game is already won. Victory is not something to be gained in the future, nor is it a reward handed out after long years of struggle. Victory is a state of consciousness, and it is claimed with the tongue. The world teaches you to fight, to push, to wrestle, to prove yourself worthy, and maybe, if fortune is kind, you will one day win. But divine law says something altogether different. You already stand victorious, for the Christ within you has overcome the world. The outer appearance may still look like defeat, but the truth is finished in the invisible, and the moment you declare it, the moment you align your word with that eternal triumph, the outer conditions rearrange themselves to reveal what has always been true: you are more than a conqueror. I tell you plainly, there is no defeat except the defeat you accept with your words. You may stumble, but if you declare, "I am defeated," then you carve that defeat into your destiny. If you fall, but instead declare, I am upheld, I rise again, I cannot be overcome, then the fall becomes only a ride. Step toward higher ground. The battle is never lost in the field of appearances, it is lost or won on the lips. That is why I say, never voice failure, never declare defeat, never prophesy disaster. For every word is a prophecy, every sentence is a decree, every utterance is a seed. Plant seeds of victory, and victory must spring forth. I remember a student who had endured repeated failures in business. Each attempt collapsed, each door seemed to close, and he began to speak constantly of his bad luck. When he came to me, I said, "Stop engraving defeat. Begin engraving victory." I gave him this affirmation: every plan of my life prospers, every door opens, every step I take is guided, and I walk in victory now. He obeyed. At first, the outer still looked bleak, but he persisted, and soon a new opportunity arose. This time he walked into it not with fear, but with the consciousness of victory. The business flourished, prospered, and multiplied. He said to me afterward, "It was as though I had stepped into a new world, but in truth it was the same world seen through new words." Another woman, crushed by the weight of repeated disappointments in love, said to me, "Florence, I am cursed. Happiness is not for me." I said, "You are prophesying your own curse. Smash that word and speak truth. Say, I walk in victory. Love surrounds me. My right relationship appears now, under grace, in perfect ways." She obeyed, though at first her lips trembled. But the more she declared it, the more her heart lifted. Soon she met a man who loved her with sincerity, and the relationship blossomed in harmony. Her victory was not created in that moment, it was always hers. Her words simply called it forth. So I ask you, what are you declaring today? Are you speaking of your defeats, rehearsing them like a tragic song? Are you telling the world about your failures, carving them deeper into your life? Or are you daring to declare victory, even when appearances mock you? Remember this: appearances are shadows, words are substance. Appearances will pass, but words endure and shape what is to come. Speak victory, and the shadows will scatter. Here is an affirmation to engrave deeply. I am victorious, I am triumphant, I am upheld by the law of God, and nothing can defeat me. Every obstacle is dissolved, every enemy thought is overcome. I walk in victory now, under grace, in perfect ways. Speak it daily, speak it boldly, speak it when you feel strong and when you feel weak. Let it become the rhythm of your heart, the banner over your life, the song in your mouth. Victory is not loud boasting, nor is it frantic striving. True victory is calm, poised, unshaken. It is the quiet assurance that says, "Though appearances roar, though storms rage, I remain unmoved, for the Christ within me has already conquered." Stand in that assurance. Speak it until you feel it. Declare it until it shines through you. For victory is not coming, it is here. Victory is not earned, it is inherited. Victory is not uncertain, it is guaranteed by divine law. Transition. And now we come to the final step of this great journey, the art of walking in that victory daily, living in expectancy, standing in poise, refusing to prepare for failure, and multiplying your blessings through gratitude. Let us step into the permanent change that seals the demonstration. Now that you have learned the law of the word, the dissolving of fear, the casting of the burden, the engraving of truth, and the commanding of supply, health, and work, you must now enter the permanent state of expectancy. For the law of life is not a single demonstration, not a fleeting miracle, not a momentary relief. It is the continual unfolding of divine supply, the daily rhythm of answered prayer, the constant stream of blessings pouring forth as naturally as sunlight. And the one who lives in expectancy lives in continual victory. What does it mean to live in expectancy? It means to rise each morning saying, "Something wonderful will happen today. My good is rushing toward me. Doors are swinging wide. The law of God is working mightily in my affairs." It means to go to bed each night saying, "I thank thee, Father, for another day of miracles. I rest in assurance that tomorrow holds still more wonders." Expectancy is not waiting with anxiety, it is resting with confidence. Expectancy is not begging, it is knowing. Expectancy is not strain, it is poise. So many live in the opposite state, constant dread. They rise saying, "What trouble will come today? What bill will arrive? What bad news will I hear?" And the law, impartial and exact, answers those expectations with more of the same. For your life will always meet you at the level of your expectation. If you expect defeat, defeat comes. If you expect delay, delay comes. If you expect sickness, sickness comes. But if you expect blessing, blessing comes. If you expect health, health springs forth. If you expect abundance, abundance flows in. I remember a man who was always afraid of misfortune. He prepared for it constantly. He saved for the rainy day. He rehearsed every possible disaster. He expected loss at every turn. And sure enough, he met what he prepared for. The rainy day came, the disaster arrived, the losses piled up. Finally, he came to me in despair. I said, "You have been living in negative expectancy. Reverse it now. Declare, I live in constant expectancy of the best. Only good comes to me. I prepare not for failure but for success, not for loss but for gain, not for sickness but for health." He obeyed, though it felt strange at first. He began to live as though good were on its way. And in time, his whole life shifted. Opportunities appeared, prosperity returned, joy rose again, all because he changed his expectancy. Another woman lived in continual dread of illness. Every winter she expected to fall sick. And every winter, she did. She carried it like a prophecy in her mind. When she came to me, I said, "Stop preparing for illness. Stop expecting sickness. Say instead, I live in constant expectancy of radiant health. My body is the temple of the living God, and only life dwells here. I expect strength, vitality, and joy." She obeyed, and the next winter, for the first time in years, she remained well. The change was not in the weather, not in her family history, not in the doctors, it was in her expectancy. So I ask you now, what are you expecting? Are you expecting your blessing, or are you expecting your downfall? Are you preparing for rain or for harvest? Are you bracing for failure or opening your arms to success? Expectancy is a magnet. Whatever you continually expect must appear. Here is your affirmation. I live in constant expectancy of the best. My good now flows to me in a steady, unbroken stream of abundance, health, joy, and perfect self-expression. I prepare for miracles, and miracles appear. Speak it until expectancy becomes your atmosphere, until dread is impossible, until you look out at life and see only open doors, only radiant opportunities, only finished blessings rushing to meet you. For the victorious life is not occasional, it is constant. It is not a rare spark, it is a steady flame. And that steady flame is expectancy. Transition. And when you live in expectancy, you find that storms no longer shake you, delays no longer disturb you, appearances no longer frighten you, for you walk in poise, unshaken, calm, immovable, because you know the law is working. And that brings us to the next secret, poise as mastery, the power to stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. One of the greatest secrets of the victorious life, and one that few ever learn to practice, is the secret of poise. The world admires speed, noise, agitation, endless action, but heaven crowns stillness, calm, and balance. To be poised is to be master. To be poised is to remain steady when appearances roar. To be poised is to stand upright when others tremble. To be poised is to look squarely at the storm and declare, "Peace, be still," until the winds obey. It is the soul that remains calm under fire, undisturbed by delay, unshaken by loss, unmoved by threats, that proves itself ruler of circumstances. For nothing in the outer world has power over you when you refuse to be disturbed within. Most people collapse the moment trouble knocks at the door. They fly into panic, into worry, into frantic activity. They run here and there, scattering their forces, trying to fix conditions with feverish effort, and the more they strive, the worse it becomes. For their lack of poise sends out waves of fear, and fear multiplies the very condition they wish to escape. But the one who has learned the law stands calm. They do not fight, they do not scramble. They speak the word, they cast the burden, they hold their peace. And the law rushes to their defense, dissolving the obstacle, arranging the demonstration, opening the way. Think of Daniel in the lion's den. The lions were real, the danger apparent, but Daniel was unmoved. He remained poised, confident in his God, and the lions lost their power. Think of Christ asleep in the boat while the storm raged. The disciples panicked, but he slept in peace, then rose and commanded, "Peace, be still." And the storm obeyed. That is poise as mastery. That is the calm that rules over storms, whether of wind or of circumstance. I recall a man who came to me, always restless, always anxious. He said, "Florence, every time a bill comes due, I am shaken to the core. I cannot sleep, I cannot eat, I cannot think straight." I said to him, "That is why the bills multiply. You are giving them power with your fear. You must cultivate poise. Each time a bill arrives, bless it. Say, 'I give thanks that this bill is paid in full. I remain unmoved. God is my supply, and God is never late.'" He obeyed, though at first his heart still trembled, but the more he declared it, the calmer he became. Soon, the bills ceased to terrify him, and not long after, his supply increased and his debts were cleared. Why? Because poise dissolved fear, and fear was the only barrier. Another woman, constantly disturbed by the actions of her family, came to me saying, "Florence, I cannot control them. They upset me, they ruin my peace." I said, "Then you have given them power over you. Stop reacting. Speak the word of poise. Say, 'Nothing disturbs me, nothing shakes me. I am built upon the rock of Christ, and I remain unmoved.'" She practiced it, and soon the very behavior that once unsettled her lost its sting. Her family did not change at once, but her response did, and because her poise held, the conditions around her softened until harmony appeared. So I ask you, what is shaking you today? Is it money? Is it health? Is it the opinions of others? Is it appearances that look threatening? Whatever it is, you can master it by poise. Stand still, speak truth, refuse to be disturbed. Say, "I am calm, I am steady, I am unmoved. The Christ within is my rock, and I rest upon it." Repeat it until peace flows through you like a river, until your heart beats steady, until your mind clears. And then watch how quickly the outer world bends to your inner calm. Poise is power. Panic is weakness. Poise opens the door for divine law to act swiftly. Panic shuts it tight. If you want to live in permanent victory, cultivate poise. It is the secret of kingship, the proof of mastery, the crown of dominion. Transition. And once you walk in poise, you will no longer prepare for defeat, for the poised soul cannot imagine failure. You will instead refuse to make room for loss and prepare only for gain. That is our next key, the victory mindset that refuses to prepare for failure. One of the gravest mistakes mankind makes, and one that keeps multitudes chained to defeat, is the habit of preparing for failure. You see it everywhere. People put money aside for the rainy day, and the rainy day comes right on schedule. They buy insurance against disaster, rehearsing the thought of calamity until calamity itself is magnetized. They say, "I must be practical. I must prepare for the worst," not realizing that the very preparation is an invitation, a blueprint handed to the subconscious, which says, "Yes, master," and reproduces the very evil they dreaded. Fear disguised as prudence builds the stage for the very tragedy it seeks to avoid. But I tell you, the victorious soul never prepares for failure, never rehearses disaster, never builds for loss. The victorious soul prepares only for success, makes room only for abundance, lays the foundation only for health, and sets the table only for joy. I recall a woman who once said to me, "Florence, I am saving for sickness, for I know the day will come when I cannot work." I said, "Then you have signed the contract. You will have the very sickness you are preparing for." And sure enough, in time it came. But another woman, faced with the same fear, said instead, "I will not prepare for sickness, I will prepare for health. I will live in strength. I will walk in vitality. I will speak life." And she remained strong long past the years when others failed. Do you see the difference? One planted seeds of failure and reaped failure. The other planted seeds of victory and reaped victory. There was once a man who said to me, "I must put money aside for old age, for I know the day will come when I am helpless." I said, "Speak not such words, you are binding yourself to weakness. Say instead, I am strong every day of my life. My youth is renewed like the eagles. I go from strength to strength. I do not decline, I ascend." He obeyed, and the years passed, and he outlived those who had prepared for decline, walking upright, vigorous, and full of life. You must see it clearly. What you prepare for, you invite. What you expect, you create. What you make room for, you receive. The world tells you to brace for disappointment, to expect the worst, to prepare for failure, to plan for loss. But divine law says, prepare only for your good, make room for blessings. Expect miracles, lay the foundation for success. Remember the widow in Scripture who was told by the prophet to borrow vessels, not a few, and fill them with oil. If she had prepared only a handful, she would have received only a handful. But she borrowed many, and the oil flowed until every vessel was full. That is the law. Your supply is measured not by God's limit, for He has none, but by your preparation. If you prepare little, you receive little. If you prepare much, you receive much. So I ask you now, what are you preparing for? Are you building for health or for sickness? Are you saving for lack or for abundance? Are you expecting storms or preparing for harvest? Stop rehearsing defeat. Stop bracing for disaster. Stop making room for sorrow. Begin instead to make room for joy. Buy the vessel for oil. Set the table for the feast. Clear the space for your abundance. Speak the word, I prepare only for my good. I expect only blessings. I refuse every thought of failure, and I welcome only success. Here is an affirmation to engrave upon your heart. I refuse to prepare for failure. I prepare only for victory. I prepare only for abundance. I prepare only for joy. My life is a house made ready for miracles, and miracles enter daily, under grace and in perfect ways. Speak it often, and soon you will see how swiftly fear dissolves, how quickly opportunities arise, how naturally success appears. For the law cannot resist expectancy, and what you prepare for must appear. Victory is a mindset. It is not waiting for life to prove itself, it is proving life with your word. It is saying, I will not make a bed for failure, I will not set a table for lack. I will not build a shelter for sickness. I will make room only for success, only for joy, only for the overflowing abundance that belongs to me by divine right. And when you speak this, when you live this, when you prepare for this, you will see that victory follows you like a shadow, blessing you in the city, blessing you in the field, blessing you in your going out and in your coming in. Transition. And once you stop preparing for failure and begin preparing only for success, you unlock the greatest secret of all, the power of gratitude. For gratitude multiplies what you have. Gratitude expands what you see. Gratitude transforms a little into much, and gratitude seals the victory forever. That is our final key, multiplying the loaves and fishes through thanksgiving. Now we come to the crown of the victorious life, the secret that seals every demonstration and multiplies every blessing, the law of gratitude. Gratitude is not mere politeness, nor is it a timid whisper of thanks. Gratitude is power. Gratitude is multiplication. Gratitude is the magnet that draws increase, the current that doubles supply, the law that multiplies the loaves and fishes. The scriptures tell us that when the multitudes were hungry and there were only a few loaves and fishes in sight, Jesus did not complain of lack. He did not beg for more. He did not rehearse insufficiency. He lifted up what little he had, gave thanks, and it multiplied until every soul was fed and much remained. That is not legend, it is law. Whatever you bless, increases. Whatever you thank God for, multiplies. Whatever you curse, diminishes. Most people do not understand this. They complain over their small purse, and it shrinks smaller still. They groan over their sickness, and it grows worse. They sigh over their troubles, and the troubles multiply. Complaint is a seed, and it brings forth after its kind. But gratitude is also a seed, and it brings forth increase. The one who learns to live in continuous thanksgiving has discovered the secret of unending multiplication. I tell you, I have seen small incomes grow into great fortunes, frail health turn into radiant vitality, lonely hearts surrounded by love, all because of gratitude. I recall a woman who came to me, holding a single dollar in her hand. "This is all I have," she said. Her voice was heavy with complaint. I said, "Then you have already cursed it, and it will fly from you. But bless it, thank God for it, call it abundant, and it will grow." I taught her this affirmation: I bless this money and give thanks for it. It is the magic purse of spirit that can never be depleted. As it goes out, Immediately, it returns multiplied. She obeyed, and within weeks unexpected money flowed to her, more than she had ever held before. The dollar had multiplied because gratitude was spoken over it. Another student once longed for healing but could see only her pain. She complained daily, rehearsing every symptom, magnifying every ache. I said, "Stop cursing your body with complaint. Begin blessing it with gratitude. Say, 'I thank thee, Father, for this perfect body. I bless every cell, every organ, every function. I am grateful that divine life flows through me.'" She began to speak it, even while pain lingered, and soon her health returned. Gratitude had multiplied strength where complaint had multiplied weakness. So I ask you, what are you blessing and what are you cursing? Are you blessing your money, however little, or are you cursing it with complaint? Are you blessing your body, however frail, or are you cursing it with constant rehearsal of pain? Are you blessing your relationships, or cursing them with criticism? Whatever you bless, grows. Whatever you curse, shrinks. Here is your affirmation. I give thanks for every blessing in my life. I bless what I have, and it multiplies. I bless my money, and it grows. I bless my health, and it shines. I bless my work, and it prospers. I bless my relationships, and they blossom. I live in continuous gratitude, and my life overflows with good. Speak it until gratitude becomes the air you breathe, until thanksgiving is the language of your soul, until blessing flows from you like a river. Gratitude does not wait for evidence. Gratitude creates evidence. Gratitude does not wait for increase. Gratitude produces increase. Lift up what little you see, give thanks, and watch it multiply. This is not a one-time practice, but a continual posture, a rhythm of life. The victorious soul lives in gratitude, morning, noon, and night. They thank God before the gift appears, and the gift always appears. They thank God before the way opens, and the way always opens. They thank God before the healing manifests, and the healing always comes. So I say to you, make thanksgiving your atmosphere, and you will never know lack again. Bless your loaves and fishes, however small, and they will feed the multitude. Bless your purse, however light, and it will grow heavy. Bless your strength, however frail, and it will be renewed. Bless your life, however broken, and it will be made whole. Gratitude is the multiplier, and it never fails. Transition. And so we come to the end of this great path, where all the laws converge, the law of the word, the law of faith, the law of divine design, the law of victory, and the law of gratitude. And now, it is time to seal it all with a final declaration, a closing affirmation that carries the power to shift your world this very moment. You have walked with me through this entire path of truth, and now you stand at the threshold of transformation. You began asking, can my life change in an instant? And you have seen, step by step, that the answer is yes, always yes, eternally yes. You have seen that life is not a battle but a game, and the rules are written in the divine law. You have seen that your word is not idle but creative, that every phrase is a decree, every sentence a prophecy, every utterance a seed. You have seen that fear and faith are one power, directed either to build or to destroy, and that the choice is always yours. You have seen that God is never late, that your divine design is finished, perfect, and waiting for your recognition. You have seen that intuition is the voice of the design, that love dissolves all obstacles, that the fourth dimension holds every blessing already complete. You have seen that burdens can be cast, records can be smashed, new realities can be engraved, and that the spoken word commands wealth, health, work, love, and victory. And you have seen that the victorious life is not occasional but permanent, sealed by poise, expectancy, refusal of failure, and the multiplying power of gratitude. So I say to you now, do not walk away from this message as a hearer only, but as a doer. Do not let these truths remain as echoes in your mind. Speak them, declare them, engrave them. Take the affirmations I have given you and put them on your lips daily until they become the song of your heart. Do not wait for the outer to shift before you speak. Speak, and the outer will shift. Do not wait for appearances to prove the law. Declare the law, and appearances will obey. Let us close together with a great affirmation of victory. Speak it with me now. I now smash every false picture. I erase every record of fear. I establish new records of health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression. I cast every burden on the Christ within me and go free. I declare that I walk in divine timing, in divine design, in divine supply. I live in constant expectancy of the best. I am calm, poised, unshaken, and victorious. I prepare only for success, and I bless what I have, and it multiplies. My life is filled with miracles, under grace, and in perfect ways. Let these words roll over you like waves. Let them sink into your subconscious like seed into soil. Let them engrave themselves upon your heart until your very breath becomes a decree of truth. And as you speak them, know this: the change is not coming someday, it is here now. Your reality shifts now, the walls fall now, the gates swing open now. The victory is sealed now. And before we part, I give you one more invitation. If you have been lifted by this message, do not stop here. There is more. There is always more. The next word I will bring you is the secret door to success. In it, I will show you how the walls of resentment, delay, and fear crumble when you shout the truth, how your Jericho falls, how your promised land appears. Do not miss it, for it will carry you further into mastery. Click now, step through the door, and continue this path of truth. Go forth, then, not as a beggar pleading for blessings, but as a king declaring your dominion, as a queen commanding your realm, as a child of God walking in divine inheritance. Life is not a battle, it is a game, and you now hold the winning word. Speak it, live it, rejoice in it, and watch your whole world transform in an instant.